hello, and welcome to yet another episode of GodCenter. I hope you and your family have been well. On today's topic, we will be speaking on a message from Pastor Dan Hunter out of Grace Church here in H-Town, Houston, Texas. And this is one of a series of messages entitled Crazy Impossible Faith. So in a moment, I am going to show you a snippet of that video. However, this message, whenever I heard it, it reminded me of an old school song. And it is a rap song, which I wasn't really into much rap music, but this particular rap song I liked, and it's called Ain't No Half Steppin' by Big Daddy Kane. Check it. That song right there, that was the jam. Growing up, I think it was 1988. That was just the business. So nevertheless, and I love that song because there's no half stepping, meaning you're either gonna go all the way or just don't go at all. And I love how that song, or at least that statement out of that song, it complies with this crazy impossible faith. In order for you to get crazy impossible faith, there ain't no half stepping. You can't be half stepping. But anyway, let's jump into that video segment from Pastor Dan.
The scripture tells us that Ahab was actually more evil than all the other ones before him. So things weren't getting better, they were getting worse. And so here in Ahab's reign, it was evil, there was corruption, there was major scandal, there was idolatry, and there was evil worship. And God stepped in and he said, enough. So he steps in. He said, is enough enough? It's over. And you know what God did? This is amazing. Listen to this. Check this out. This is huge. God did not raise up an army. You would think that's what it would take. He raised up one man. Come on, somebody. One person to change the nation, one man. His name was Elijah. And here I believe in this day, God is speaking to someone in this room, and he wants to raise up men and women who can change the nation. He didn't need an army in that day. And can I tell you, we've got an army of believers in this room alone, watching online. What difference could we make if one man named Elijah made a difference? What difference could you and I make if we lifted up God and allowed him to shine brightly through us? Think about this. One student can start a revival in this nation. Come on, think about it. One businessman, one businesswoman could change the culture of a nation. In God's hands, a mom, a dad could change the hearts of a nation to focus on God instead of fear and evil. Think about it.
Okay, so the backdrop for all of this is coming out of 1 Kings chapter 16. And there's essentially this evil king named King Ahab, and King Ahab has a wife who she's equally evil, if not more so, than he is. And essentially, in a nutshell, God gets fed up with the sins that they have committed and how that they have caused the people of Israel to stray away from the things of God, and they've resurrected all manner of temples, and they have all these gods, the demigods that they're serving. And even at one point, I'm going to reference my note here, when Jericho was rebuilt, it says that King Ahab it cost him his firstborn. And whenever the actual when the temple was rebuilt, then the city was rebuilt and they had to put the doors on. It cost him his youngest son. So there was human sacrifice. If the king is sacrificing if the king is sacrificing his children, how much more the lay people of that day following after these gods that his wife had introduced him to. So there was just a stench in God's nostrils about all of this. So he raises up Elijah, the prophet Elisha, okay? And this one man God uses to do such great things. I'm not going to spoil it for you and give you all of the details. I really encourage you to check out this message in its entirety, I will include the link below, but I definitely encourage you to go into the Bible. And even if you don't have a physical Bible, go online. It's on there, okay? I promise you. I like the New International Version. There's also the English Standard Version. The King James, you know, they go into the thou arts and the this and that might kind of throw some people. And I really don't want you, I want you to read this like a novella, because if you like novellas, Cyberscape, this is for you. You want to read this because there's some drama up in here, okay? So the long and short that I want to share with you guys that really spoke to me is that you can accomplish great things just by yourself and God, okay? You may have something that you feel you want to do to help people, especially in this current time with everything that's going on. If you feel that you have a plan or a purpose or something where you're involved to help dismantle systemic racism, don't just look at yourself and say, oh God, it's just me. How can I alone do this great thing? Trust me, all things are possible with God. So whatever you're doing, even if it's not something on that grand of a scale, or not to belittle anything else that anyone out there may have to do, but anything that you feel that you are led to do, do not negate the God factor. Okay, that's what I would really encourage you to not negate the God factor, because again, the interesting thing that I see here, which also makes me love this story here about Elijah, is that even after he had a great victory with regards to the people, the fake prophets or the false prophets, okay, who were worshiping Baal. That was some other god. It wasn't the Most High God. He is still afraid whenever he receives word in a message from Jezebel, okay, which is King Ahab's wife, and she says that if by tomorrow at this time I have not done unto you what you've done unto my prophets, my name ain't Jezebel. And basically, whenever Elijah heard that, never mind that God had just showed up and showed out and just given a great victory, caused some of the people to actually repent whenever they realized that these other prophets were false and that Elisha was following the one true God. And I'm saying Elijah, not Elisha, but we talking about Elijah. So basically, every now and again I skip it. But Elijah had just had such a great victory, but yet it still shows that he was just a man. It's okay to get scared. It's okay to be afraid sometimes. And it clearly says that whenever he received that notification from Jezebel that I'm basically going to take you out by this time tomorrow, or my name is not Jezebel, he was out. He ran out. He didn't even think about, well, hold on, God just brought me out of, and how many times have that happened to us, that we've been through a circumstance and God showed up and he showed out. But now we come upon a new situation and we are like, is God going to do it again? I don't know. He may have been able to do it that time, but I don't know. Then he does it again. And then each time we come up on issues, we still feel the same. At some point, we have to get grounded. At some point, there's no half stepping. You either with God or you're not for God. So it's time for us to get grounded. And what I mean, again, grounded, not just knowing that, okay, God came through last time and did exactly what I wanted him to do, but also being okay when God doesn't exactly show up and do exactly what we're desiring God to do. And that can be hard because we're like, wait a minute, God, this is not what I asked. It's like when, as a parent, your child may ask you for, I don't know, candy, a lollipop, and you give them a sandwich. And they're like, but this is not what I wanted. But as a parent, we know what's best. Not to say candy is not okay, but we know that at this time you need substance, so we have to trust God that He knows what's best for us when and when it's best for us to receive that thing that we're wanting. And additionally, I wanted to just add that even when Elijah ran off out of fear of Jezebel, for fear of Jezebel, God didn't just abandon him and said, "Man, you're a sellout. You're a sucker. I can't work with you. I'm gonna raise somebody else up." But even at that time, whenever he was by himself, supposedly in the wilderness, he really was not alone, because God was there with him. And while he's asking God to die and he goes to sleep, God sends an angel to wake him up and say, "Hey, get up and eat something." And he turns around and there's bread that's already baked on some stones and there's water to drink. And then he eats and he goes back to sleep. And then another angel wakes him up. I don't know if it's the same angel, but another angel wakes him up, and there's bread and there's water for him to partake of. So God is again providing for him. So, in the entire story that is unfolding, even though Elijah may seem to start out on his own, just him and God, God sends people along the way to help him. He has sent the ravens to feed him. He sent the widow. He has the angels. So at several points in time during this journey that's been going on, God is providing help for Elijah. So we don't have to fear. What God does for one, He can do for all. And He's no respecter of persons. So I would definitely encourage you, whatever it is that you're wanting to do, it might just be you. You might not have another person to bounce something off of. But if you just bounce it off of God and talk to God and ask Him to provide, ask Him to give you favor, okay, He can do all things. So the bottom line, if you're going to trust God, trust Him all the way. There's no half stepping. So that's it for this message. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe so you can know whenever there's new videos coming out. And I will talk to you next time. But until then, be sure that you keep God at the center of all you do. Bye-bye.